All right.
Are we
Hey,
able to stay up at the top?
yeah, you can stay there on the screen. That's fine. What I'll do is I'll make David the presenter a little bit. Hey, everybody, welcome to our meeting here. This is Dan Bauman here. I'm on the Education Committee with NARI, and I volunteered to put together this webinar instead of our monthly live meeting, which, as well as, everybody's going virtual these days because we know why. So welcome to our meeting. A couple of quick housekeeping things. In the control panel, there is a place to enter questions. This is GoToWebinar, which you won't be able to see the questions that are being asked. So you type them in, I'm going to be monitoring this, and I'll be asking David, David will do his presentation, and at the end of the presentation, we'll answer any of your questions that you might put in here. So it's going to be, part of the GoToWebinar's thinking is that without the chat all over the screen, it's a little easier to focus on what's being done. There'll be a poll or question or two as we go along here, and we'll just have at it. So again, welcome. Danella, I'm going to turn it over to you. Danella is the president of our local chapter here, and go ahead, take it away. I'm going to go ahead and turn my video off.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dan. Welcome, everyone. It's a little strange that I can't see you, but you can see me, but that's okay. I wanted to say, first of all, welcome to all of the members who are attending today, and I'd also like to welcome the non-members who are attending today. We've opened this meeting up to non-members and members alike, hoping that we can be a resource to everyone in need of David's guidance. And so thank you for your attendance today, and I apologize, I've actually lost my announcements, so I'm going to try and find them while I'm talking.
Welcome to technology. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So one of the things that I also really, really want to just say to everyone, I have been witnessing the NARI Minnesota as an association just really comforting each other and stepping up to the plate where we can be support to each other and being a really, really great community. It's been evidenced in the weekly roundtables that we've been hosting, very well attended and great in-depth conversation about just everything that's happening right now and what we're all dealing with and what we're struggling with, how we can support each other. So much really great advice coming from your fellow members. I would really recommend if you haven't yet, please pop into one of those. They're every Tuesday and they're open. So just go to the website, nariminnesota.org, and go to our events calendar. You can find the link to each particular meeting in the event on the calendar, and you just click the link and you're in. So yeah, please do that. I also want to just, let's see, sorry about that. All right, so I also want to just ask if there's anything that we are not doing for you as members that you'd like to see more of, or if we can be a resource in some way, please reach out to the office. Our main focus right now is just to make sure that you as members are getting everything that you need in this time. And so if there's a question that we haven't been answering or that you can't find on our blog, then please reach out. We'd love to be able to find that answer for you. And speaking of our blog, it's on the website, nariminnesota.org. There are tons of resources there. So we've been really just, and when I say we, I mean our amazing office staff have been just loading up that blog with lots of different information, whether it is legal information, tax information, loan information, different ways of navigating this situation. Check out the blog. It's a huge resource. There's a lot of information there. Let's see, I'd also like to thank NARI University for sponsoring this event and funding this program to bring David here for us today. I'd also like to thank the quarterly media sponsor, which is MSP Magazine. And I also want to thank Dan Bauman for facilitating this meeting. He generously has donated his webinar software to us for this meeting, which is great. So for those of you who don't know Dan, he has been a member for quite some time, and he's a member of the Program and Education Committee, and just really involved in our local NARI Minnesota association. He also, as of yesterday, a special vote by the board yesterday, he also has joined the board of directors. So I'd like to also congratulate Dan for joining us on the board. He's going to be a great resource. So without further ado, I would like to turn it back over to Dan. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Donella. I think you're on mute, Dan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was on mute. Yeah, thanks. I'm excited to be part of the board and get more involved with NARI, so I'm looking forward to it. So the next thing, David, I want to do a poll, okay? I just want to ask this one question because it's been bugging me.
All yours.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. So let's see. I'm going to launch this second one. Okay, here we go. So if you guys, poll's in progress. All right, there we go. And so if you could just answer that poll real quick. I know it's an obvious question, but I wanted to ask it just to get your feedback, and we'll see what kind of response we got. We got 3 basic questions. I just wanted to ask this one and get it out of the way. All right, we're 70%. All right, so yeah, that's about what I would have expected. I'll show the results here in just a second. We're at 80%. And all right, perfect. So let me go ahead. I'm going to close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, awesome. And let me hit, let me see, where do I share the results? There we go. So 13% it hasn't affected business that much.
Wow.
Lost some business, but have been able to keep busy, and 21% have cut back quite a bit. So that's about what I would have guessed. So that's pretty good. David, what do you think? Does that sound about right?
You know, it actually depends on where you are, Dan. I mean, there are some mandatory work stoppages in Washington and California that they don't even have a choice. So it looks like, you know, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in Minnesota, you can keep working if you do it safely.
Yes. Well, fortunately, we can do that here. So,
yeah.
All right, I'll hide that poll. And okay, so let's jump into it here now. I'm not going to do a big introduction for David, other than to say David has been a longtime friend. We did a lot of work together many years ago, and we've gotten to become good friends. We were internet friends for a long time before we met each other. So that was kind of interesting. Got to love the internet. And David is the owner operator of Remodel Force. And David, I'm going to just turn it over to you, and you can let us know what it is about yourself that we need to know. It's all yours.
I appreciate that, Dan, and thank you, and thanks everybody for joining us today.
Well, by the way, David,
yeah,
you want to leave the video on till you do your presentation, then I'll turn the screen over to you, or just want to jump right?
Okay. Oh, I went to full screen, so.
Here, let's should we turn the video off, and then we'll just I got to transfer the screen to you.
Okay, so, good. I jumped ahead of you.
Yep.
So
1 second here. I've got to make you the presenter.
As you can tell, I'm a little older, but I also want to clarify that 60 is in fact the new 40. So with that in mind, look, I've been in the construction industry for almost 30 years. You know, been through probably 4 different downturns, and have never seen anything quite like this. And was a full service remodeling contractor, did it for over 25 years. So I have sat where most of you are sitting. And when I moved into more of a consulting role, I've had the opportunity over the last, 6 weeks to really begin to learn more about what people are doing, what's been successful, and hopefully some helpful hints. So I'm going to be covering a lot of information. So, if you want to utilize the chat box, also I'll share my, email address. So if you want to follow up to talk more, there's just
David,
a lot to cover.
I need
Yeah.
to ask you to hold for 1 second. I'm trying to make you the presenter, but Adam Bordeaux is the presenter. Something weird is happening. Let me make you. I'll just make
I
you
love
organized.
technology, especially when it works, Dan.
Why? Your computer's not named Adam Bordeaux, is it?
No, as far as I know.
I have to dismiss Adam. Adam, you're gonna have to rejoin the meeting. All right, sorry. Forgive me. I've never had this problem before. What is going on? For Pete's sake.
You can always click the screen, and I can, just tell you next.
But you didn't send me the slideshow. It says you're a panelist. I can't even do anything here. Oh, here we go. Make presenter. There we go. I think I got you now. You should have a link to show your screen now.
Very good.
There we go. Thanks. Now I'm seeing your email screen.
There you go.
All right.
Are we good?
Sorry, everyone, but yeah, now we're good. By the way, please enter your questions in the question box so that we can get those answered later. It's in the control panel for the meeting. Have at it, David. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Dan, and thanks everybody again for attending. It's just a very, very unusual time. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Again, I'm a former remodeling contractor. I do understand what it's like to be dealing with the situations you're dealing with daily. So let's see if we can review some things that might make it a little bit easier. So you're probably going to hear me say this more than you'd like, but communication is key at this time and date. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of fear. So your employees need to hear from you. What's happening next? And I'll almost guarantee you some of your employees are wondering if they're going to have a job next week. Your clients are up in the air because they're uncertain what's going to happen a month from now, 2 months from now. Prospects, same thing. What's going to happen a month from now, 2 months from now? Because these things are changing on literally a daily basis. So I'm going to focus on each one of these categories in regards to the leadership that you can now employ to lead employees, clients, and prospects through this process. And people want this leadership. They want someone to come in and say, we're moving forward, and this is what it looks like. So we're all involved in social distancing now, as you well know. So with that, I think there's a little bit of email overload going on. If I receive 10 to 15 COVID-19 emails a day, that's probably on the low side. So I want you to know that we can move beyond that, and that if we send an email, a follow-up phone call, a voicemail, that personal interaction makes a difference. Or send an email and have a brief text to let them know you just sent that note. This is a relationship business, as you know. So it's our job to keep people engaged and to help lead them through the process. We can continue even at distance to interact face to face, but we can use some different tools to do this. Let's review each one. You're all familiar with Zoom. And Zoom went from, I think, 6 weeks ago, Dan, having 10 million users to like 2 weeks ago having 2 million or 200 million users.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Some astounding number.
Absolutely amazing. All the online services, I'm sure, have just
there, and it's growing. And the reality is, we're going into a digital transformation. So even though we're missing some of the direct person-to-person FaceTime, we can utilize these tools, and honestly, we're going to continue to utilize them even after the crisis has ended. So with Zoom, you can have team and client meetings, sending out invitations, and you can see on the screen on the left, how each person's picture is above. And I want you to know on Easter, we had a virtual Easter dinner with the family, and we had attendees from Peru, Munich, Germany, New York City, Portland, Oregon, Littleton, Colorado, Denver, Colorado, and Boulder. And for an hour and a half, we shared brunch. So to me, it was remarkable that we could talk, we could interact. And so Zoom, a very neat tool. And you can even go beyond that. You can have a sales presentation on Zoom and screen share. So just go to zoom.com and you can learn more. Wonderful tool. But let's keep going with this. There's another tool called Loom. And, you know, we type up emails, and I put myself in this same category, and we click send. Loom allows you to record a video message and then send an email. And when the person clicks, there you are on the left delivering that message. In many cases, it's faster than actually typing the email. You can also then on the right do a screen share, and then your commentary, your image goes down to the left-hand side. And I'm bringing this up again because if people are, you know, social distancing and secure at home, how do we continue to connect with people? And so what a wonderful tool. And here's the other thing. If you're getting, you know, all these emails, I'll be perfectly honest. I might spend 10 or 15 seconds looking at an email and going on. But if I got a video message through email, I'm going to watch it from beginning to end. So there's a higher level of engagement. So Zoom is the meeting software. Loom, allowing you to record video messages on your computer and add content. And there's one more.
David, I'll jump in on Loom for a second.
Yeah.
There's a free version and there's another version. You get unlimited everything for $80 or $85 a year, something like that.
Which one is that? Is that Zoom or Loom?
Loom.
Very good.
Yeah, so awesome program. I use it all the time.
Terrific. And here's another one. You know how we can send a message, a text? Well, Glide allows you with your smartphone to send a video text or video email. And once again, you know, I might look at an email and go click, click, click. But if I get something like this, I'm going to watch it from beginning to end. So again, let's begin to move into this, you know, digital universe and begin to see that there are some really useful tools. And part of this is just simple differentiation. When your clients see you using some of this technology and seeing how easy it is, it does separate you potentially from the competition because you're engaging people in a more meaningful way. So number two, so here we talked about just communication and maintaining face-to-face contact using technology to leverage that engagement. Number two is how do we keep connecting? That the crisis is creating opportunities in its wake. And while I wouldn't be selling, we can market and we can continue to work with people in perhaps a meaningful fashion, getting them to think about potential projects. So as I mentioned, there's a little bit of a digital transformation taking place. And many of you online are already using some cloud-based construction software, CoConstruct, Buildertrend, Procore, or UDA. And look, I was at the IBS trade show in Las Vegas, and the comment that stuck with me. You know, 10 years ago, very few people had smartphones. Now everyone has them. And they made the same comment about cloud-based construction management software, that in 10 years, this will be the standard. It's where it's going. So basically, begin to look at the capability and opportunity to begin looking at these tools because it ties together on a cloud-based platform, you, the contractor, the homeowner, trade contractors you work with, and designer and architect if they're part of the project. And it creates a communication platform. In addition to looking at this software, I just mentioned, using these video conferencing tools. And there's really no reason, if we begin to use this and get comfortable with it, that we'd stop using it when the crisis is over, because this works. And imagine being able to share a project with a homeowner, and by uploading a daily log of what's happening, that the homeowner can pose questions. If they're a designer, they can see what work has been done. If you want to highlight something with a trade contractor, highlight that image and send them that image, or show them a short video. All these things are possible. So these video tools can and should become part of your business management system. So I get to work with contractors around the country, and a woman that I work with in Portland, Oregon, she is now circling back to past clients. And, she had done a previous project. And I'm going to say with a fair amount of certainty that when we finished a project for someone, if we didn't do a whole house remodel, once we finish one project, if they're not moving, they're already thinking about what they'd like to do next. Because in the house, the new kind of highlights the old, and people are aware of what they'd like to do next. So this woman is circling back, and she's saying, you're at home, I'm working from my home office. Gosh, when we worked together, you'd mentioned the deck. You'd mentioned doing something in your master bath. You'd mentioned the family room. Would you like to do a virtual consultation? And she's just reaching out and making the offer. And she said, in the past, I've been too busy, but I have some time for this now. Just take your phone. By FaceTime, let's go into that room and talk about what you'd like to do. And once you have some idea, then working on your side, you could do a Zoom call follow-up to review ideas, to review some preliminary designs, to share some other things you've done like this. So I'm really highlighting this because communication right now is so important. And it's important that you look at this in regards to moving into this digital transformation. That's a positive thing. Being able to communicate with people effectively is a positive thing. So I can't say enough about you saying we're moving into this. Yes, there's some unknowns, but I want you to know we're in business. We're moving forward. And to show that confidence and to say, I don't know what's going to happen a month from now, but I know what we can do now. So let's use these tools to communicate proactive movement. And I'll say it another way, that it's one thing where somebody can say, I don't know what to do, and there can be some paralysis, for lack of a better word. But movement creates momentum. There's energy in movement. So I'm utilizing this myself. Just work on something, move forward, work in my business, work on my business, because there's momentum, there's energy, and that energy is contagious. That's what I want to share with the people that I work with. So number 3, I want to finalize a plan with my company. And as I mentioned earlier, if you have employees, everyone's wondering, how long am I going to be employed? What's happening? What's going to happen 2 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now? So I'm really encouraging owners, if you haven't done this, and you probably have done this already, is to pull your team together, can be done in a virtual, format, and to review if you still have work going on. Are we following all the Center for Disease Control hygiene recommendations? Do we have masks? Do we have hygienic wipes? Are we able to work in a safe fashion, not only for our clients, but for all employees? And so address this. What can we do? What are we doing moving forward? Let employees know, all right, within this context, within this situation, if they're sick, you have permission to stay home. All right, if you have school-aged children that can't be in school and you need to be home, let me know. If employees need to be home due to children, can we still allow you to work from home? And can we give you access to a server or to the appropriate information to allow you to keep working. And so really what we're doing here is creating an action plan, because again, we've been thrown a curve here. So let's see how we can work with this, because guess what? In remodeling, very few things go according to plan. And we're looking at this in the same way. So let's put together an action plan. So I'm starting here just with employees. What's the plan? How do we move forward? How do we work in a safe fashion? And how do we support employees to do what they need to do? Now, it hasn't happened yet in Minneapolis. Congratulations. But I'm working with some contractors in both Washington State and California, and they've been told to stop work. So I hope it never happens in Minneapolis, St. Paul. We don't know what's going to happen. So part of this action plan is, if there is the possibility of some kind of work stoppage or shutdown, that you begin to look at what is the action plan, what is the minimum number of employees needed in case we do have to shut or slow down. And then with the time, and literally I was on the phone with a contractor yesterday, and you're beginning to see, hopefully, and again, if you've got kids at home, you may not be seeing this, but I'm talking with contractors who, for the last 2 years, have probably had more work than they had people, and working 5, 6 days a week, 50, 60 hours a week, always working in the business because it's what was required. But I hope and begin to want to propose, if you begin to see that work demand isn't as strong, are there some ways to work on the business? And in a Zoom setting, is there some team training in a safe fashion? Is there some office reorganization or cleanup that can take place? I'm working with 2 contractors now on standard operating procedures, a beginning to document company standards, a beginning to complete written job descriptions. And lastly, if you're not using cloud-based construction software, look into it. Co-Construct, Buildertrend. I probably have 20 different contractors using this software now, and this is the future. It's where we're going. So can you take this time to work on the business and use the time to build those business tools to allow you to be more successful? Now, here's another poll, Dan, and I wanted to bring up how many folks, in your NARI chapter, have had clients put their projects on hold. Can you bring that poll up?
I can. There we go. So if you guys could fill that out, that'd be great. Have you had any projects put on hold? Yes or no? Pretty simple question.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe put it on hold.
And it's funny, as I mentioned, I'm in my early 60s, and apparently we're kind of in a target group, Dan, where your immune system may not be as strong.
Yeah.
And I asked my wife about it, because I work with contractors and subcontractors, and I just said, if we had work going on, would you want them to come into your house? And she said, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so let's address that. And so tell me, what have you seen on the poll?
Well, let me share that with you, and there's your answer. 92% have had projects put on hold.
Yeah.
I guess another question I wish I would have put in there: how many have had projects cancel, not just put on hold? I know one contractor out east that lost one that had 3 contracts worth $1 million cancel, not just go on hold.
Wow. It's kind of a stock market thing where people were looking at assets and saying things have changed.
I didn't get into that with him, but possibly. So
yeah, because most of the contractors I'm speaking with, in all honesty, the projects are being put on hold and not being canceled because they do want to do the project, but at this time of uncertainty, they really don't know how to move forward. All right?
Yeah.
So
you guys, if you wouldn't mind, just go to the question box in the control panel, just open it up and put in there why some of your projects, did they cancel? Are they canceling, totally? I'd love to hear some of your comments. So by all means, if you can take a second and that'd be great. Or ask any
So
questions.
let me build on this because, clients, for obvious reasons, we're not sure if we want to move forward. Can we just tap the brakes? So we talked about all these virtual tools that you can say, that makes sense. I certainly understand. But let's continue, if appropriate. And you can just ask them, would you like to continue working on your design? We can do all this virtually. Would you like to continue making selections? Because all suppliers, you can send links of different selections. All this is now posted online. And I also do this as a simple understanding that I want to communicate, to clients. That, over the last 2 years, some contractors have had a 3, 6, even 7 and 8 month backlog just due to the fact that they had more work than they had people. And guess what? There's a similar situation building because as people say, can we just put our project on hold? When this passes, and it will pass, but when this passes, if you've got 4, 5, 6 people who say, let's get started, can you imagine what you're now communicating is, well, because of previous commitments, because of everything we're working on, your start date is potentially 3, 4, 5, 6 months away. So what I'm trying to communicate with contractors to their clients is, can we continue to move forward? Can we continue to work in a virtual fashion to prepare your plans, to make your selections, to put together a budget, to arrive at a contractor, and if possible, even apply for a permit? Because imagine if you've gone to that point where you've gone through that process and you've got a permit for that project, when this changes, and it will, no one knows when, that you're in a position to move forward. It also depends on your building department. How are they reviewing projects? In many cases, that's all happening virtually. So this is, I think, some important information that you can communicate, which is to prospects. Would you be open to working together in the following fashion so that we don't hit another backlog and your project is postponed another, who knows, 60, 90, 120 days. So how can we work with people and how can we continue to move them forward? And here's worst case, that not knowing what's going to happen, I'm always suggesting to contractors, you put together a 30 to 60-day run rate. In the .com world, they call it burn rate, which is how much money do I have and how long will this allow me to stay in business? So if things were to slow or shut down for 30 to 60 days, how much money do we have in the bank? What jobs can we work on versus what are all my overhead costs? What are all labor costs plus burden? And what can I do with my compensation? Are we still in the black in 30 to 60 days? If not, what can we do? So as you're looking at this is part of the communication you want to have with employees. And communicating, and I hear it again and again, our employees are wondering, will I have work in 2 weeks? Will I have work going into May? And with a plan like this and understanding your run rate, you're able to communicate to people, here is what we have in our pipeline, here's what we have ongoing. And I have contractors saying now to employees, we have work through April. I don't know what's going to happen after that, but I want you to know we're working through April. If things haven't changed, then again, as a team, as a group coming together, we're addressing some shortfalls, all right? Does anyone just want time off? Or as a shared burden, is there some, temporary, across the board 20% salary reduction we can all share. No one wants to lay good people off. Can we share the burden? Simultaneously, reaching out if you're renting space. Can you work with the landlord to suspend or put lease payments toward the end of your lease? Can you suspend mortgage payments if you're making mortgage payments on properties? Truck and equipment lease payments. These people don't want the equipment back. So they know what's going on, and unless we ask, we won't know. So what can we do to work together? So this is, kind of sharing some of the burden and finding out, where we can get financial support. And let's move right into this now, because you've been hearing all about it for the last 3 weeks. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the Paycheck Protection Program, the direct payments to workers and families. This is the $1,200 per person, $2,400 per married couple with $500 per child, with some limitations. And you can see the limitations there on the screen. And they've also supplemented unemployment benefits of $600 a week for up to 4 months. So let's just briefly touch on each one of these. So the initial, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. This is literally just about a 3 or 4 page application. You can go to SBA.gov, you find the Economic Injury Disaster Loan application, and you can see on the screen the loan advance will not have to be repaid, and then go down to the underlying red line, and that this money will be made available within a number of days. We know of no one in the country who's received any money from the $10,000 Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So I don't know where it's at. I've yet to speak to a contractor who've received any money. So in the beginning, people said it was a $10,000 loan, but it's been amended. I just received this notice today from the SBA to ensure that the greatest number of applicants can receive assistance during this challenging time. The amount of your advance will be determined by the number of pre-disaster employees. The advance is now $1,000 per employee, up to a maximum of $10,000. If you've got yourself and 2 employees, guess what? It's not $10,000, it's $3,000. So to back that up, there's the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, the Paycheck Protection Program is not through the SBA. That's through a local lender. So let's just spend a few minutes on this, and it brings up so many questions. So $300 and almost $50 billion. It's a massive amount of money for companies that have less than 500 employees, and you can borrow in the Paycheck Protection Program up to 2.5 times an average monthly payroll cost to include mortgage interest, lease payments, and utility payments. However, per employee, it's limited to up to $100,000 of annual salary, maximum loan, $10 million, and the first 8 weeks of the loan can be forgiven. Now, that's from loan inception. Now, there's one catch, that if you lay someone off, if there's reduced hours, that loan forgiveness will be reduced based on money you actually paid for payroll taxes, mortgage interest, lease payments, and utility payments. So that forgiveness will be prorated to what you actually paid. All right, I know it sounds confusing, so please, if we have additional questions, and honestly, it's changing. All right, now let's see, is the money available? Okay, when to apply?
David, we got a reply here from Jesse that they got their 10K today.
Oh
SBA.
my gosh, that is the first time, Jesse. Congratulations.
Yeah, cool.
My gosh. All right, that is actually great news to hear. So, for the Paycheck Protection Program, apply today. The reality is $349 billion. It's going fast. In fact, it may already be gone. And it is implemented through approved lenders in your area that are approved to do SBA loans. Now, we've had some experience with this. Look at the red on this slide. Last Friday, the first day of taking applications, in the first day of applications, 85,000 customers applied for $22 billion of that $350 billion. So in context, that is one bank in one day having 85,000 people apply. So this kind of thing, you're probably hearing that they're looking to build the fund back because that money, it's probably gone already. But look, this is focused on you for the assistance you need. And you can see that going through a local bank, I'm going to talk about this next, will be highly beneficial because those relationships are important. Now you'll see you'll need some or all of the following. Besides the application, and this will be downloaded from your bank, a bank worksheet or client due diligence form. They may require 2019 payroll tax information, 2020 payroll information through the middle of February, a 12-month trailing profit and loss. There were a couple of banks that were requiring a copy of the owner's driver's license, bank statements, and any business entity information. All right, so it is a more extensive application, but hopefully you can use your bookkeeper or accountant to put this together to take to your local bank to begin the process. Now, as I just mentioned, what happened to the Bank of America? There are so many people applying for the program. I just took this from one of the headlines. Banks warn of utter chaos and banks not having the capability to respond quickly due to demand. So my brother is a retired banker, and I brought this up with him. And he said, look, as a banker, I want you to know that when a bank makes these loans, the bank is still liable. There's a contingent liability. And he's saying if the loan, if it's fraud, or the loans doesn't meet SBA underwriting requirements, the bank does not have the loan guarantee anymore, and they're responsible, and they now can hold a bad loan. So he said, in my role as a banker, I want to work with a known client. And so he was warning me. He said, businesses that don't have bank relationships may have difficulty in getting funded. And I just received this note this morning from a contractor that I work with in Tennessee. And literally, I just copy and pasted this from his note. I wanted to give you a quick update on our payroll protection program loan. We closed on it yesterday, and the bank put the funds in our account last night. We went through our primary bank, a local community bank, working with our loan officer, who also happened to be a past client. He had built a home for that client. And you can see in parentheses, I think he helped push our application through. This is his final comment. So what you said is true. Relationships matter. So if you're looking to process the payroll paycheck protection loan, if you have a relationship, that's what you want to focus on. Who can you work with? Who knows you? Because they will be much more comfortable working with a known borrower with some history than someone who's unknown. So I do have some information sheets, and I'm happy to send these to you afterwards. These are from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and they're small. Each one of these are like 4 pages long. The coronavirus emergency loan small business guide and checklist, the Paycheck Protection Program information sheet for borrowers. And lastly, I received probably one of the best emails I've seen from a builder in California. And literally, it's what was entitled, "What We're Doing During COVID-19 and Not Your Typical Pandemic Message." I'll pull that up, toward the end of the program. So I want you to think, and this would be my strongest recommendation, that when I was still building, I would put together a plan, and I'd put together a schedule every week. What work is going on, what employees needed to be on what job, what materials needed to be there, coordinating with subcontractors to be on site, and it never went according to plan. Every week, I was reorganizing, I was replanning, I was moving people around because things happen. It never goes according to plan. And it's one of the reasons you're in this business, because you're good at this. All right. You're used to that pivot that takes place once, twice, 3 times a week when things don't go according to plan. And it really is a unique business skill. So I want you to think about, we are adaptable. And in our business, we do create solutions as problems arise. It's life in construction. So this is a crisis. It's just on a bigger level. So my recommendation is just this. Can you approach this crisis in a week-by-week basis? And so on Friday, on tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday, I'm asking myself, if I'm in your shoes, what can I do this week? What can I manage? Where can I lead my conversations with my existing clients? What can I do with prospective clients? What communication can I have with employees? How can I work on my 30 to 60-day run rate? What can I do to work on my business? What tools can I add during this time? And again, I come back to, there's movement in energy. So again, my recommendation, focus on short-term solutions here. We will come out of this. So let's be optimistic about what we can do now, what we can put together. And I can't say it strongly enough. Your clients, your employees, they want this leadership. They want to see you saying, this is what I'm doing. This is what we can do. This is what we will do. Let's move forward. Let's work within the limitations we have, but let's make some things happen. And really, a last question is, are there some areas where you're vulnerable? Can you address this? And again, by looking at those areas, you begin to remove that vulnerability and to address them. And that's a much more powerful place to be. So let's begin preparing for this as it unfolds. So some last recommendations. Stay informed, but as odd as this might sound, don't watch the news. The news, it's the old headline, if it bleeds, it leads. It's just so depressing. So Danella mentioned when we first started, connect with your peers. Speak with other people who are in a similar situation as you. What are you doing? How are you doing it? How are you managing? What information can we share? What's working for you? If you've been through the loan program, can you give them some direction? Can you give them some support? Communicating with trade contractors. I think just like employees, trade contractors wonder if they're going to have work in 2 to 4 weeks. I want you to be optimistic about the long term, because work didn't go away. In 90-some% of the cases, the work is just on hold. So what can we focus on? What can we do on a short-term basis? And really the last one is, be selective about sharing your concerns. Look, I'm scared about this. Most people I speak to are scared. If you're in business with your spouse, then you share these things. But if a spouse is at home with kids, I think I might be selective about sharing some of those concerns because I don't want to bring that burden into a spouse who's already uncertain and already working very hard. I don't want to share those concerns with employees because they're uncertain. So again, connect with peers, connect with people where you can share information and really get through this together. And you'll see the bottom there. This too shall pass. We will get through this. We got through 2008 to 2010. We got through 9/11. We will get through this. So this is a dynamic situation that is changing dramatically. It's changing daily. So I do have, with two of my business partners, we offer a 30-minute pandemic briefing every Friday at 1 p.m. Central. And you can find out more about that at rcsg.org. Just 30 minutes. We keep it short. We kind of review what's happened lately, what can we do, what information can we share. And I mentioned an email. Can you see the screen, Dan?
Yep.
Very good. So this is an email I got from Lewis Builders. And here's how they took these lemons and turned it into lemonade. So I'm happy to share this with you. I thought they did such a nice job. Share your space, change your life. So number one, we've got the technology, and they're dealing about how they're working on ongoing projects. Number two, here's Matterport, which is a digital camera. And they're showing, and this is happening in some areas, where an inspector can't go into a home, so the contractor went in, FaceTime with their telephone, and showed the areas for the inspector to see. Now, in this case, there was a relationship. So that inspector knew the quality of the work that this person did. But you can begin to see between Matterport and some 360 cameras, there's some very cool things that can be done to not only share during the building process, but to share with customers. You'll see they address virtual meetings and then address lastly the client design process with 3D renderings, and again through Zoom. So I thought this was about as beneficial of email as I think I've seen in a long, long time. So I'm happy to share that with you. Can we address some of the questions here, Dan? Would that be appropriate to go to?
Just have a few. By the way, if you guys have questions for David, please put them in the question box for GoToWebinar here. It's in the control panel. Let's see. Jason mentioned there's a COVID loan tracker at covidloantracker.com.
Is it just like that? So like just covidloantracker.com?
Yeah, I did send everybody that link via the GoToWebinar control panel, so people can go look at that. It just kind of tells the status of it. You know, it's just with all of this going on, yeah, be patient. I guess that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with this many people and this kind of money, it's just like, yeah, nothing's going to go fast. Nick just has a comment. He works for the Home magazine here in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
He tracks calls for advertiser from their magazine. And so far in April, we have had the exact same number of calls as April of 2019. So homeowners are still calling and looking for their help. We're still mailing magazines, and we have never had a more captive audience. So it's still happening out there. People still, they haven't. In some ways, people are probably more in tune with their house now, and they say, "God, we should really get this remodeled because we're here all day. It'd kind of be nice to get it fixed."
Yeah, I'm looking at it every day now.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you can probably, now it might not be a bad time. So again, it's just that question of, how to be safe. How does everybody stay safe, I guess, is the bottom line. And anything that anybody can do to make that happen it's a big deal. So let's So tell everybody a little bit. No, I don't have any other questions really. So tell everybody a little bit about your 30-minute call that you do on Fridays. What do you guys generally talk about? You've been
You
doing
know, what
this.
we do is I've taken, the information I shared today, but we try to see what's happened the previous week and address any changes in the loans, share stories.
Oh,
And I
okay.
can share a story with everybody on the webinar today that I now know 4 contractors in Tennessee, Arkansas, Montana, and North Carolina who have received their Paycheck Protection Program loans.
Okay.
The money's actually in the bank, so the money is flowing. So it is happening. So we try to share what we know, what we see happening, and then relying on, your members to share their stories. And like Jesse saying he actually got the money. That's the first time I've heard anyone receive some money. So that's great news.
From that one, from the $10,000.
From that one. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I applied for that too. I haven't seen anything. So,
yeah. You and me both, pal. So I'm happy that what you see on the screen, I'm happy to share those 3 things with you. It's just a simple checklist. They're tools. Again, these are things that we collect from the SBA, from the Paycheck Protection Program process. And so if those would be helpful,
yeah,
I'm happy to send those to you.
Yeah, a few people have requested the handouts and everything from the day too. So if you guys want to just email David at remodelforce.com, just say, hey, please send the handouts from the NERI meeting. And
I can also send a copy of the program, if you want that as a reference, because we've covered a lot of material here in the last 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any ideas, the tips that you're using to work with your clients? Any tools that you've adopted? Any ways to get the information that you need to produce plans and estimates? Type it in or raise your hand. I'd be happy to unmute you and you could talk too. I think we have, what were we going to go to? 3 o'clock or 3:50?
Well, usually I spend about an hour, Dan, just because I'm very sensitive to people's time, and also it's such a passive setting. I try to get in and out within an hour,
okay,
so that I don't want anybody to get bored.
Bored? Who's getting bored these days? We're all happy to be talking to everybody.
Yes.
Courtney says that they've had several clients say they've gotten their PPP loans, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's happening. It literally is happening. And the note this morning from the gentleman in Tennessee, we'd spoken last week, but I got to tell you that that money that's been received in Arkansas, Montana, North Carolina, and Tennessee, those were all through personal banking relationships.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure that the bankers, due to those existing relationships and due to that comfort, help facilitate those loans because of that relationship. So if anyone is applying for that loan, do you have a relationship where that person knows who you are? You've had some kind of history, because they're much more likely, because of the loan liability, to work with a known person, a known company than an unknown company.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Well, I guess we don't have any more questions at this point. So I would also suggest that anybody on the call here today, if you have any topics you'd like to cover, I'm on the education committee, so that's part of what my job is. So let me know, dan@chiefexperts.com, or just drop a note to Beatrice at NERI. And Jacob here says he's been using Buildertrend, but they delete our account for a few good reasons. With these current times, there may be a need to investigate further to get back into it. Yeah, I know some of those programs can be a little spendy, so you kind of have to, weigh the benefit. Jay says they've been introduced to CSSI. What is that? CSSI.
Yeah, I don't know who CSSI is either.
I'm not sure, Jay. Could you clarify what CSSI stands for? Jacob says might be a good discussion piece, outside financing. So yeah, I mean,
You mean like and I'm thinking, I didn't spend much time on this, but a line of credit,
yeah,
and again, we're looking for that 30 to 60 day run rate, because I hope that 60 days from now, there will be some, light at the end of the tunnel. There'll be some clarity.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's really, how do we get there? What has to happen? What do we need to do to get there?
yeah. Hang on. Keep
Hang on.
smiling.
Yeah,
Keep
you're right.
smiling. Keep
And
like as you
approach it
mentioned,
one week at a time. I
as
don't
you
know another way to do it.
as you mentioned, keep moving forward too. Keep
Yeah.
moving. Period.
Yeah.
Um, I find myself, because I've always worked from my home, and when I do webinars like this, or I meet people or I call people, yeah, I'm moving and I'm doing things, and it helps me stay motivated. But when I don't have many appointments or anything, it's like, ugh, it's kind of yucky. So yeah, keep moving. That's really great advice. Um, let's see. Alan says, been one of the most informative webinars I've seen. Thanks, Alan. Thank you, David. You did a great job. Um, Jacob said they didn't delete Buildertrend solely on price. Weren't getting the benefit out of it, compared to tools we had at our disposal already. Cost segregation is CSSI for owners of buildings and tax incentives. Cost segregation.
Wow.
Yeah, you got us on that one, Jay.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up, with the Buildertrend co-construct, there is a learning curve, but I really fundamentally believe this is where the market's going.
Yeah.
And when you can demonstrate to clients, put a sample project onto Buildertrend and show them this communication platform, you can bring your trade contractors on board. Not all of them. Some of them, will just say, I won't use it, but many will. And if you're at all working with designers and architects, I mean, you really are differentiating your company from potentially competition, because you're introducing that technological opening. And it just makes it easier for people. There's a common platform to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, thanks to technology, we have a lot of ways to communicate now. So, and keep track of things. It's amazing. It really is. So, well, cool. David, again, thanks again. And Beatrice had wanted me to mention that there will be a survey sent to everyone after this. So please look out for that. And we'd love your comments, ideas, suggestions. This is, NARI is, and like a lot of you, and I've been, I've always been kind of a techno geek, and I've been doing online meetings and webinars since 2005. So, gosh, almost 15 years already. And I've preached this to a lot of people, a lot of my clients. Why don't you guys do online meetings with your clients? And people would say, well, yeah, we got to go visit in person. Well, I think now that people are forced into it, as you mentioned in your talk, David, that this is the way of the future. This, online meetings are here to stay.
Yeah.
Because they're so effective. They work. They save a ton of time.
They do.
They really do. So, guys, if you're not into it, get into it. Google how to use Zoom. You will find a plethora of advice from people, videos from people. Go to YouTube, and it's really, once you've done it a couple times, it's really a piece of cake, and yeah, you'll never go back. Yeah, it's pretty cool what's happening out there. All right. Any other questions? I don't see any other questions. Jacob just said that, yeah, Jacob, he agrees this is where we'll be moving forward.
Yeah.
So, David, do you have anything you want to add? Yeah.
David, this is Beatrice.
Yeah, hi, Beatrice.
Hi, great presentation. Thank you so much. David, if you want to send me your presentation, we can send it out to the attendees.
Terrific. I can do that. And I just want to let people know, because, necessity of the time, if you had questions or, something more personal, I can do that offline, and just giving you this information and sharing whatever I have. I mean, we're all in this together. I know that sounds corny, but guess what? We are. So let me send that to you, Beatrice. And if somebody would like to follow up with me, I'm happy to respond.
Cool. And just the FYI, you guys, we had 106 people sign up for this webinar. This is just from our local chapter, which was amazing. And we had, at the highest, I think I saw 69 people attended today.
Yeah.
That's
Which is
phenomenal.
really also outstanding.
Yeah, so thanks for being here, you guys. This is amazing. And you know, we'll keep trying to bring you good information like this that you can use in your business. There's just so much out there. And please don't hesitate to share with us too, because we're out looking for ideas on how we can help you.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Danella. I appreciate the invitation.
All right. Thanks everyone for
Thank
being
you
here.
so much, David.
Take care, everyone.
Well, by the way, make sure you get out to narymn.org. Check out the website. Check out the calendar. There's lots of events that are coming up. Not live, obviously, not in person, I should say, obviously. But Beatrice and Maddie have been working very diligently to keep things moving forward. So please check it out and stay involved. We want to do whatever we can to help you in your business. All right.
Thank you again, Beatrice,
Thanks.
Dan, Danella, and all your members.
Cool. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe.